Hi, and welcome to the Boat Princess podcast. My name is Nicky Vaux, and I'm your host. I am a boat owner, a marinas owner, an international conference presenter, and a huge advocate for boating. I'm sharing the stories from every nook of the boating industry with the intention of encouraging more women to join me and for more women to get behind the helm too. I want to share the experience and opportunities of boating, of the boating industry, and I want you to join me as I bring the conversations and answer all the questions you've had. Boating is not just for the glamorous and rich and famous. It's full of beautiful and interesting people making the most of our natural environment and getting out there, enjoying the waterways. So, let's set off the lines, take over the helm, and escape to the world of boating. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Boat Princess podcast. This is going to be an interesting one because I've got a media personality in front of me, Ben Taylor of Taylor Productions. He and I see each other at boating events like Acomia and all that sort of thing, all the time. So this is going to be fun. So welcome, Ben.
Thank you very much. Good luck, everybody. Let's see how this goes. Bring it on.
He's got a very media voice, hasn't he, guys? Yeah, that's very good.
It's the accent. I tell you what, the accent goes a long way. Working with the USA, they love it.
They do.
English accent.
Yeah,
Say no more.
Perfect. So, Ben, you do video explaining things about the boating industry and about boating generally and all those sorts of things. How on earth did you decide that was going to be what you were going to do?
Yeah, it's pretty niche. So what I'm really doing is, I didn't realize it when I started out, but it's journalism. But in this industry, there's not very much video journalism, mainly because of logistics and productions and costs and all that kind of thing. But it's largely been articles and the odd picture for so long. And so I saw that gap, looked at video, see how I can do that. Right, okay. And then it's self-perpetuated really into what it is today. If I rewind the clock, coming out of school, didn't do university, went into a family business in water sports distribution. So it's focused on wetsuits, wakeboarding, kite surfing equipment, monoski, and all that kind of stuff.
And that was a family business?
I don't know if you do this around the world, but You know when you have like an uncle or an auntie that's not technically your uncle or your auntie, it's just really good family friends.
Yes.
It was technically their company.
Yes.
But growing up, knew them, knew what the business did, and came to the end of school thinking, I have no idea what I want to do. I don't know what kind of opportunities are out there. So we looked at, hey, what about water sports? Really, really into wakeboarding, scuba diving, anything in, on, below, whatever, around water. Then I was keen. Let's do it. So this water sports opportunity came up, and I mean it was access level job. So straight out of school, started literally packing boxes on a warehouse floor. But it's a small company. We're talking about a company of 5 or 6 people, which was really good looking back at it, because it meant that when a company's that small, you end up doing a bit of everything. You learn. So yes, some days, sometimes for weeks on end, it was like, look, we need to sort out all these deliveries. You'll be packing boxes for that long. And that's fine, and it's kind of the reality. But then also you'd get times in the winter, so off season, where they'd have a closeout website. You need to administrate the back end of the website. So all that e-commerce learning came into things. And I didn't realize at the time, but that was going from like a young guy just thinking, right, what do I do in the world, into, well, here's some skills. You'll need to learn some things. And that was really, really good. So that was about 2, nearly 3 years, I think, of that kind of thing. And I wanted to grow. I really like the idea of sales and getting out of the warehouse, engaging with people, all that kind of thing. Tried to do that internally in the company, but the opportunity just wasn't there. It wasn't right for the company. It didn't fit with where they were at. So I went to a boat show. It was just before, so that must have been July, August, when I thought, right, like let's move on. Let's see what else is out there.
How long ago are we talking here?
We're talking 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So at this point, I'm 20, 21. So left school at 18, 2-3 years there. July, August, go, right, okay, how do I find other opportunities? My mum's been self-employed for 20, 25 plus years. My dad's been in a big corporate. So it's been quite interesting to see, like, there's huge differences there. But they ultimately said, look, go to a conference, go to a show, something like that, because you can walk up to a stand and you could be speaking to the managing director of your next employer, and they could have an opportunity there and you could be employed next week.
Good advice.
That was significantly better than thinking, like, well, let's build a CV, let's send it to 100 different companies and see what happens. Like, get out there, go to an event. And it worked, basically. So I ended up going to stand, just going, look, I'm Ben Taylor, I'm looking for sales jobs and anything going. So got about 1,000 no's, but on one stand, I still remember it really, really clearly. It was a yacht charter agency. I was like, look, anything going? Like, no, not really. And a gentleman was walking past just behind me and overheard me pitching. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, let's have a conversation in a minute or two. So finish that pitch.
No way.
Yeah, literally just right there. So we finished that pitch, turned around, chat to this guy called Adrian, and he was running a startup based out of Zurich, Switzerland, and we're looking for someone to head the UK and kind of grow the market in yacht charter. And it was quite an interesting company because they're doing yacht charter, but they're also doing a boat swapping community, which is quite innovative, quite exciting, big potentials. 2 weeks later, I'm working for them.
No way. That is really chance sort of stuff, isn't it?
It is. And it's...
Yeah.
So ever so often I go back to school and present to the pupils who are kind of leaving and looking at all these opportunities. And they're always like, well, how do I get a job? How should I go about that? I'm like, go to a conference, go to an exhibition, see what's there. Because in my upbringing, which was pretty privileged, to be honest, it was kind of, what are you going to be? A doctor, a lawyer, and all these like big careers. And it's a pretty standard progression. You go through your education, you go to university, you get placements, and then you apply for a job. That's kind of that. But the reality is so many people will actually have quite a winding path of different careers. You don't really understand the number of people in sales and marketing. Like out of a room, it must be a huge amount of that of the audience. So I go back and I say, go to a conference, and you might turn up thinking, look, I love the fitness industry. I'm into gym and sports. Go there and you meet a bunch of people and you think, I don't fit in here. I don't really resonate with these people. So you'll learn that. You'll learn that in a day.
It's true.
It's a day. That's it. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's so much better than working 3, maybe 5 years of your life to try and get in a position and then realizing, no thanks, that's not for me. So that's kind of the message that I champion to them and use my journey to demonstrate that. I'm going a little bit off topic here. So back to the story. Spent a little while at that startup, and it was a hardcore startup. We're talking about I was employee number 1,
right?
The co-founders.
Yeah.
It was remote working. It was pretty difficult to kind of iron out. We faced a lot of regulation and restrictions around the whole boat swapping thing.
Really?
Yeah. I now look back on it and go, like, great intentions.
Yes.
The reality of doing that kind of thing was pretty.
Well, were they from
difficult.
the boating industry, or were they naively just coming into it for the fun of it?
I think they'd previously been in some big industries like venture capital, that kind of thing.
Right. Yes.
So I think they were
they
more looking
understand.
at the market and going, market opportunity.
Yes.
Huge. If you can do that, great.
Yeah, but they didn't understand the regulation all around it.
Exactly. We're not talking about people coming from like maritime law or maritime underwriting and insurance.
Yes.
So when it came to, hey, do you want to be involved and talk to marinas and charter operators and boat owners? it's a great concept. How do we define what is something like a theft compared to a boat swap?
Yes.
And how do you hand over the keys to someone? And if that goes wrong, what qualifications do you need? Is that a commercial operation? Is it not? Lots of red tape. Quite interesting. Anyway, that finished. But over that time, that brought me from the water sports side into the marine side. Slightly different. And with the marine side, there was very, very little use of technologies, especially social media.
Yes.
So I went independent as self-employed, selling technologies into the industry, looking at marketing technologies and financial technologies. And over that time, so over a year or two, I got more well-known for my videos than the technology. And people started saying, oh, you're the guy from LinkedIn. You do these videos. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Because they have a theme, don't they? What's going on?
Yeah. I mean, that wasn't, this is before.
Oh, okay. So they weren't doing that then?
No, this was just like, hey, look, if you want to do this with your business, this kind of technology is out there. But I was like across the whole of the marine industry, there's very few people doing video. I was one of the early ones there. And so I thought, right, okay, if I'm recognized for the LinkedIn videos, maybe there's more in that than selling these technologies. So I thought, all right, okay, well, it's a promotion of a business. How do we structure that? Make a commercial model out of it. And then that really got traction and started developing. I'd say for the first 2-3 years, it was pretty rough because you don't have the big audience to sell.
Yes.
And then also we're talking about COVID now.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the opportunities that I get today come from events. Events go flat.
Yes. Ouch.
Yep. How do I make a business out of that? But people had a lot of time and people were on social media all the time. So I started, God, I've got a long answer to this, haven't I? And so,
that's what we need there. That's what we need.
Good trigger. Well done. So over that time, I thought, okay, no events. Maybe money's going to be a little bit short, but at the same time, there's not massive expenditure. So what can I do that's quite efficient, that's going to grow my profile in the industry and be of value to people? So started the International Marine Networking event, online, Zoom, free to join. I'll host it. And by being the host, I'll get to know a few people. And meanwhile, the American market can talk to the European market, the UK market. It's a little bit difficult for the Australian market because it's 2 in the afternoon in the UK. Yeah, it's like midnight or whatever. So, so that really was something that people recognized me for, and that got a little foothold. So when the events came back, it was, oh, well, I know the decision maker of this company, I know the marketing manager there, and we could develop business. So that's kind of how it's gone.
So you created your own network effectively.
Yeah, because I was coming from outside the industry.
Yeah.
Young, no significant experience, not like a big corporate brand behind me to say, hi, I'm from this corporate that everybody recognizes, and then you're welcomed in.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, well, who's this Ben Taylor guy? And it took a bit of time, took a bit of ironing out, but
how was that? Was the boating industry welcoming, or were they a bit tough on you, or how was that?
I don't think I'll ever leave the marine industry because of the people.
Yeah.
Commercially, a little bit difficult. But in terms of being welcomed and people genuinely just wanted to help you out, there was a lot of that. There's a lot. I used to think of it as like social credit, as like okay, they've helped me out there. Right, I don't owe them money or anything significant, just little favors. And so I tried to create a little bit of an exchange where if I could help someone out, maybe I don't make money out of it, maybe it doesn't grow the business, but actually they'll know me, we'll have that connection. There will be opportunities in the future.
They always say that, don't they, in entrepreneurship, that when you start a business that you should give, and what you give will come back to you at some point.
Yeah, it's a great, in theory, that's great.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people also struggle to draw the line and say, we've done the free bit, we've done the favors, now we've got to pay some bills.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of, yes, that free thing, that connection, bring opportunities. I love opportunities. Like if there's, like with video, it's quite interesting. So if you for example, if I went to a boat show and I'm doing, let's say, 10 videos for 10 different companies, all paid, happy days. And then during that time, 3 or 4 opportunities come up where someone's just like, look, we can't pay you now, but we've got this kind of big thing coming. Is there something we can do there? Then, or the classic one is like a charity.
Yes.
Or someone talk about mental health in crewing and super yachts, that kind of thing. Like a really good purpose-led business. Then actually, the cost of me sitting down with someone and my effort of editing, sorting out, and getting it to my network is actually fairly minimal once you're there, once you're doing all this thing. So I think the struggle when you're early on is you don't have the momentum. You don't have that process, that flow in hand.
Yeah.
Once you're a little bit more established, it's okay to do one or 2 freebies because you've got the core income, you've got the core process of the business that really does work, and you've got a proven model as well. So you think the first 3 years, I'm kind of working out, okay, what's a good format of video? Where do we lose attention in the first 5 seconds? What can I do as an introduction? That's where the what's going on thing was, because it's what's going on with this company, this subject. So people really recognize that, which is quite a nice tagline or whatever you want to call it. And so working out that format that worked, what sold, what didn't, what was a complete waste of time. Once you know that, then you can work out things that are going to feed it. And once you're at that stage, then it's, I mean, do it until your heart's content. Go for it. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of my approach to it.
So you've had to build, I guess, a personal brand, really, haven't you? You are Ben Taylor, and yeah, sure you do videos, but you needed to be recognised as, oh, yeah, that's that guy that does the videos. Yeah.
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 So how did you sit down and write down who am I going to be? What sort of approach am I going to take? How am I going to dress? All those sorts of things. Did you actually think about that, or did you just do it?
I thought about it a lot. At the same time, it's kind of accidentally happened. So in building the personal brand came out of, well, what resources do I have? Do I have enough resources to build something like a B2B publication, like a standalone brand? Well, not really, because I didn't have that money to fund that kind of thing. I didn't have the team. I didn't have the knowledge to build something like that. But to build myself and just be Ben Taylor, cost reduction massively. It became accessible and possible for me. And so I think that was the seed of the root of what it's become. Things like how I dressed, yeah, absolutely. So I like to go with the approach of think about the dress code and how everyone's going to be. Maybe try and step it up a little bit, then you're perfect. But something like, I looked at all sorts. I looked at things like, could a sponsor sponsor my t-shirt? It's on all the videos. Good exposure, nice placement. But then I look like I'm from that brand.
Yes.
So how do you maintain that individual entity without bringing up all these conflicts? Or if I'm sponsored by them, then I can't interview their competitor. But at the same time, I've got to be a third party. So how do you navigate that? Quite difficult. So all these things took time. I was very much like going out there and trying things. And yeah, just over time, it refines. I mean, we're now, over the last 12 months, we've done about 270 videos.
A year?
In the last 12 months.
Yeah.
So
you literally approach a brand, you say, would you like a video done about your brand at this show? Is that how it works, basically?
You could boil it down to nearly that. So so you have all the industry events. Boat shows is the overwhelming majority, but brands will use this to announce a new product, a new development, whatever it might be. And so I eventually figured out that how that works is to launch that, they'll be given the budget. Right, what do you want to do? Right, we want to exhibit. Do we want to bring a boat in, equipment? Do we hold a press event? Do you want any video promotion? Right, okay, video promotion. That's my bit. If I can pitch them at the right time when that all coincides, then they'll probably go, yeah, let's try some influencer marketing. Let's get Ben Taylor in. How much is that going to cost? It's not that bad. Let's do that. And so that's where I fit in. That's kind of the process of the business. one of the most interesting things is if you look at my progression and how well recognized Ben Taylor is, the sponsorship opportunities around that has the same effect. So if I can consistently show a brand and have brand placements, that kind of thing, their profile would grow with me. So companies looking into building brand awareness and being that trusted authority, those kind of sponsorships is what I'm now starting to look at and structure that very cleverly. So there's very few conflicts, but then as workflows and how to do more video content and have really good journalism reporting on the industry, that's what I'm kind of working towards. That's where the target is now.
Yeah. So you've curated your personal brand. You've kind of self-taught yourself, basically, in media presentation and video presentation. Is that right?
Yeah,
or have
correct.
you done some courses or
no?
No, you've done it all.
I don't know. I would be interested to go on a course and be like, Ben, change these couple of things. This would really do well. I've seen a couple of the courses and speak to people who've done it, like media training courses, that kind of thing. And it always comes across quite basic. And I'm thinking, well, I'll pick that up in time anyway. Or I already do that. So I don't really want to do that kind of thing. But at the same time, I'm often finding that some of the best information is completely free. It's really accessible. Go on YouTube, how to video podcast. Right. Easy. Right. This is the kind of equipment we need. This is the kind of setup. Right. Apply that to what I know about the industry. How do events work? What relations do I have? Put something together. Let's make it work. Like it's.
But you have to have a certain confidence in yourself to do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Confidence is really interested in this, in what I'm doing. Because personally, I don't like the term influencer and my persona.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
Yeah, it's something about it. Like I don't. Something about being an influencer is you immediately jump to like being really excitable and making something look really cool, sexy, like incredible. And the personalities that do that are like extreme extroverts. They're just like bang, energy, da 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 da. And I'm not really like that. I'm much more
considered.
Yeah, considered, careful, and my interest is more around intrigue and knowledge and value. Hence, the B2B side works really, really well. Like, it's not very me to go on a boat and go, look how cool this feature is, look how fast it goes, da da da. I'm a little bit more, all right, okay, so you got an engine on the back of it. Where is that manufactured? What is that company doing to make sure that they're really resonating with that market? How did that engine end up on the back of that hull of the boat? Is it manufactured in Poland or assembled there? Where's it coming from? How's that brand been built? Like, that gets me going. That's great. So really focusing on that and the value of that is where I like to be, and that's where I stay.
Yeah. Because that's your niche market then, isn't it?
It's super niche. It's so funny. Like, speaking to my friends, they're just like, Ben, what exactly do you do? Because you're starting to go to some pretty nice places and like you just create a few videos and then it's like, job done, happy days.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, you could say it like that. The reality is a little bit more difficult, but I'm going to start the question again.
Okay. So, and we can leave that in because it was quite funny.
Okay.
So,
I just got to stick around, mate.
Did you know that you can actually advertise with us at The Boat Princess? We obviously have a targeted market that is talking to those that love boating, those that would like to get into boating, and those in the boating industry. And we are Australia-wide, but we are internationally renowned as well. So if you have a product you'd like to get into that market, specifically into those ears, listening about your product, then you can advertise with us. Now remember, podcast episodes are evergreen. If you do a radio ad or a TV ad, it's just out that once. But if you advertise with us, every time someone listens to that podcast episode, they will hear your advertisement. I know for a fact that people still go back to our very first episode with Kay Cotty and they listen to that episode. So if your ad was placed on that episode, then they would hear it every single time they listened, and every new listener would hear your advertisement. So, starting at just $249, we can help you get your product out there. And maybe it's a product you haven't got out there yet and you want to get out there. We're here for you. Contact us on info@theboatprincess.com and we'll let you know the details of how you can get your product in front of the Boat Princess audience. But Ben, you've created a really niche market, haven't you?
It's super niche. Super niche. I mean, all the career paths, certainly leaving school, certainly my previous job, I didn't think this was even a career path, to be honest.
Well, you kind of created it yourself.
Yeah, it's niche even in our niche industry.
Yeah.
But you do look at other industries and go, well, that exists in other industries. It's not completely unique what I'm doing. It's just applied to this market. And so that space was wide open. And I've gone, actually, I could do that. Let's try it. Let's start small. And okay, really early on, I look at my first videos. I don't know if you cringed, don't you? And it's like, oh, I did that. But then you look at the progression and what it is today, and you're like, right, okay, that makes me feel good. Great. Really don't look at your first videos. It's horrible. And so I've ended up in this super micro niche, and yeah, my friends talk to me and go like, what exactly are you doing? And you seem to be going to some nice places and things are going well. And yeah, it's great. But I mean, I'm surprised it's not been done before.
Yeah. In
the industry. I think we're known really as being a little bit behind, even just with as broad as how the industry uses technologies. The way we approach business and that kind of thing is, I think that's really created this gap. And certainly over the last 3, 4, 5 years, I think the conversation is completely different as soon as you're talking about influencer and video content.
Yeah.
5 years ago, it was a bit like, okay, how do we do that? I'm a little bit confused.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's a lot more like, we need to do this. Do you have a solution to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is how it works. Talk them through it. Happy days. Completely different conversation.
Yes.
So much better.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so much easier. The pitch is 5 minutes instead of 30.
Yeah, it's great for me, but it's not rocket science.
No.
I sometimes look at my own behavior, or like, I love people watching, guilty pleasure. Airport, watch around.
Yeah.
Okay, what's everyone doing? Well, they're all on their phones. Like, they're all looking at their phones. What are they doing? Well, a small proportion might be reading articles and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Vast majority, social media, watching videos.
Or listening to podcasts.
Yeah. And you look at that behavior and go, okay, so if I'm writing articles, I've got, 5% of people who will read an article, especially of any significant length. What's the big percentage that people are doing? Watching videos, right? Being there. So it's, yeah, when you look at the business model, it's quite...
Yeah, but you've recognised that niche.
Yeah.
You've looked at it and said, oh, there's a bit of an opportunity here.
Yeah.
And then we all know that if you've seen an opportunity, everyone can see an opportunity. But whether you actually do something about that is what makes the difference. Yeah. And it is, as you said earlier, it's that first 2 to 3 years of just the grind of doing things potentially for nothing to get to where you are now in terms of, okay, now I'm a very lucrative, great business because I've just done the grind at the beginning.
Yeah, and there's two really great things about media. One is that it's self-perpetuating. Every video I do is a promotion of what I do as well as whoever I'm interviewing. So you get this momentum where the more work you do, the more work you get. And so you find this critical point, you hit it, that's the tipping point, and then bang, you're on a roll, keep going. which is great for business. A little bit difficult when you're looking at work-life balance and you're like, okay, next event, 2 weeks time, let's get all this edited up and then we're going to go again. There's another 10 interviews. So there's that side. And then with media, there are so many opportunities to just things pop up. You're just like, right, okay, you have an audience. If you have an audience, right, what are you going to do with that audience? You're going to different mediums of content that you're going to create, different types of business, different ways of promoting a business. Like there's so many different things and all these relationships across the industry with publications, with show organizers, directly with brands. Like doors are everywhere.
Interesting. And I think also, everybody talks about this whole life-work balance thing. When you're starting a business at this level, there is no balance. You have to really drive it and really work hard at it. But if you're doing what you really enjoy doing, and let's face it, they never put boats in ugly places, right?
Yeah.
So you end up in some spectacular locations, as we are today in La Rochelle in France. And, that's sure you're working, but you're also in a very nice place doing that work. Do you think that's why you were attracted to the boating industry itself, or do you think it was the people? Like you said, when you went to that exhibition, you felt the vibe from the people.
I think it's a little bit of both. I grew up around boats and loved it. That was like the best time growing up. It was on Lake Windermere, and we still go there. And the wakeboarding, anything on water, right? Great. So I definitely had that enthusiasm as a hobby to combine with what I'm doing every day. I think that's really, really helped. To have a work-life balance is actually really difficult. Like it just is, especially when you're running a company, because everything you're doing constantly is, how does that pay off? I feel like there's a lot of ambiguity if you're an employee or you're part of a process. You don't see the whole picture and how it all fits together. And so as soon as you're thinking on that level, it's very, very, it has been hard for me to switch off and go, that is enough. Now let's enjoy time with my friends doing something completely different and not thinking about the logistics of how to get to the next industry event or a deal that's kind of developing and there's some nuances to iron out, or what the potential is in a new little venture. I found that a little bit hard. I'm starting to get a little bit better at it, but I mean, it's been consciously, Ben, you've got to stop and recharge. I think of industry events as like they use my social juice. I get exhausted from just like, I suppose it's working, but working in this industry, in the sector that I'm in, it's right. Okay, you sit down with people, you got a bunch of logistics around that. It's pretty intense on camera. You've got to be a certain persona, and it's got to be.
There's a lot of energy in that, isn't there?
Yeah. And then, right, okay, let's say a show finishes at 6 p.m. Then you've probably been invited to one or two events that evening. Mm-hmm. One might be a client, it might be the evening meal, it might just be like a big party with live music. But that means that you've done filming all day. What you were going to do was spend 2 or 3 hours editing, sorting that out, so that the next day you're up to date. People are, as soon as you finish recording, they're like, okay, where's the video? Annoyingly. It'd be great if it was like, we'll get that to you in 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much. Right, I'll do all the shows, and then I'll edit over the summer, and then we'll go again. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's quite time critical.
It's very intense.
So you do an event, right? Okay, you're back at your accommodation that you've just checked into, and you don't know, the Wi-Fi's dodgy, and you're sorting out all these things. Sure enough, you're editing till 1 a.m. and there's a client the next day that wants to do a video the day just before the show.
Yeah.
So you're there at 7:30 and you're back on it. You're filming.
Yeah.
So it's intense going to shows. So I've started thinking about it as right. Okay, I'll need social juice ready for that. So make sure I do relax and switch off the weekend before, or in the travel. Don't go like completely budget and save 20 quid for something for like waiting in the airport for an hour longer, or whatever it might be. And just, I suppose, having that self-respect and be fair to yourself, so that when you are there, you're working, you need that energy, then you're fresh, you're ready, you're on it. That's great. And so I've had to consciously think about that and really to make it happen. Otherwise, I'd just be
toast.
Work, let's go.
Yeah. And I think what's, if you don't work in this space, in sort of creating video, creating audio, or all that space, you don't realize how much energy goes into it.
Yeah. In theory, it's like sit down, have a chat. Right, great, job done.
Yeah.
Post.
I mean, I've done 3 interviews, so you're my 3rd interview this morning.
You're doing well. It's
I am going to be
like 3,
exhausted this afternoon.
Sorry about that. but because you're doing well though. Like you've done 3 in a row. It's taken me 3 days to do 5 interviews for different people because they've got different reasons, different logistics, all this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's so easy. Like I had a thing when I was when you're putting together like a pitch deck for a client, and you're like, right, we're going to do this video. I really try and avoid the persona of I'm going to turn up, I'm going to press record on a camera, we're going to have a little chat, I'm going to press stop record, and I'm going to click post. And there's your bill for doing that. Yeah. Because people don't realize that the workload in that, but then also you're not just buying the video, you're buying the distribution, you're buying the editing, the post-production, and the reputation of me in my case. So to really make sure that's framed correctly, not only so that the brand recognizes the value, but also so that you don't get this mismatch of, right, we love you, Ben, that's great, but we're not going to pay you that much for it because it took you 5 minutes.
Yes.
When in reality, it takes far longer than that. You kind of just like, well, it's got to be fair. And I think that's one of the difficulties in making a business model out of this. So on the consumer side, there are so many influencers and Instagram channels that pop up that are something like boat walkthrough content, especially in super yachts, because they're cool, big and sexy and fun. So you get someone and a camera guy, and they turn up at a boat show, go on board a boat, look how cool this is, wave their hands. Yeah, wonderful. Gets to loads of people on Instagram, great exposure, wonderful. But the reality of that is, okay, how do you get whoever's trying to broker that boat or running a business from that boat, then how do you make sure that you can sustainably keep on creating that content? And the result is you see people pop up for that 1 or 2 years, and they don't address that. They don't find the key bit that goes, right, okay, if we operate like this, the client gets value, we get value, we've got a business. Because it's so easy to just go, yeah, okay, like we talked about free orders and little sit downs with people. It's good to do some of them when it's the right people. But at the same time, if you're the producer of all that stuff, are you a busy fool, or should you be doing that? That's the balance. And then you've got to be commercial about it. It's got to make money.
Well, it's got to be a business that you can actually sustain, because all of the things that we do actually cost us money. You know, all the equipment that we have, all the time that we put into it, and the editing is one of the
editing's the killer.
The people that don't understand.
Yeah.
I have a podcast producer, thank goodness.
What a hero.
She is my hero. She is literally my hero.
Yeah.
So Pip Ray is my podcast producer, and she's just amazing. But she is literally my hero because she does go through everything. I know she has some magnificent tools that are available now. I know there's an app that just takes out all the ums. I mean, how cool is that? But but there's she'll take that one out. So there's
Hello, the Boat Princess podcast lovers. This is Pip Ray, the Boat Princess podcast producer, just dropping in to say that yes, I would normally take out the ums and the ahs, but nowadays it is a little bit of a challenge because Nick has become a talented and professional host. But today they are in context, so I'm going to leave them in. I'm really grateful to be partnering with Nicky Vaux on this extraordinary journey as she travels the world bringing you the conversations you may not have thought ever existed. And I continue to learn all there is to know about boats and the marine industry because of her genuine curiosity and the ability to connect with her guests. Now, we have about 10 minutes of this episode left, and Ben is definitely the English version of Matthew McConaughey. So we're excited to announce that the second half of Ben's interview will be available in our exclusive content for members of the Boat Princess podcast. If you're a subscriber to the podcast or newsletter, you'll be receiving an invitation to join us on the Top Deck, where we are hosting exclusive conversations and making those announcements that you don't want to miss. If you'd like to continue living vicariously through the Boat Princess podcast adventures, become a member to be privy to the insider information, the fashion, the product launches, invitations, and great discounts from our sponsors and affiliated services. Now, the Top Deck is where the party really starts, but as always, we will be bringing you an episode every fortnight to keep you up to date and on the water. Back to you, Nick.
There's not necessarily a knowledge of just how much time that takes from those who don't do it.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you're buying something, let's just take a basic example. You go into the shops, you're buying a chocolate bar. Why are you buying that? Well, you're not buying that because at the price that it is, because of the price of milk and manufacturing and the price of packaging or delivery to wherever you are. You're buying it because you want the taste of chocolate and you want it as cheap as possible.
Yeah.
So as long as you stay from that perspective, I found, look, people aren't bothered if it takes me 5 minutes to produce a great video or if it takes me half an hour or 4 hours.
Yeah.
They just want a price and they want what they want. That's that. So when it's come to my workflow, I've gone, right, okay, how can I make sure that this is not just a good value product, but I can do it at a really good ROI for the clients, as long as you maintain that, because it's really, I'm sure you'll have conversations where do you realize how much work is involved in this? And clients say, like, well, yeah, but we just don't have that budget. And it's that simple. So there's a bit of a make sure you do the right things. Like, I've done so many things where it's like, right, okay, this is taking me. I did one project. It was a site visit, and it was the company's birthday. And so we came down for a day, did a whole bunch of interviews. There's a few things that the client was like, well, we want this kind of video where you kind of profile the whole site and interview a couple of things. And then could you like thread them together, put some music to it, now profile the company. Wonderful. Right, great. I said yes to it with no further charge and just said, look, it's kind of in with the package. We ended up creating 36 videos for them. Wow. And then 2 or 3 of them were these really big, heavy lifting, lots of work in the post-production to deliver. I was like, okay, so this project looks like it was a 1-day site visit, and it's taken me nearly 3 weeks to actually produce and sort it out. I'm like, okay, don't do that again.
Lesson learned.
That's silly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've done projects where I've really stuck to the things that is the core
on the
of
brief
the business, and you've been like, wow, that's worked really well. It's got a really good ROI. Clients are happy. I'm happy. So yeah, I think I'm really trying at the minute. I'm trying to do 2 things in every conversation I'm getting into is focus and simplify. If I can do that, then it will probably go somewhere. As soon as something's complicated, or we go, oh, okay, and this could be huge. We could do it in this country. We could do it on this platform. We could do this. Yeah, great. That potential is wonderful. Let's start with step 1. What's the most simple, most focused version of this that we can do first? Let's do that. If that works, we'll meet in a week. Do you want to do it again? Was that great? Or was it awful? Let's absolutely not do that. At which point you're thinking, well, I'm really glad we didn't put a bunch of money into this and research this and go, well, here's a gigantic package for a client that we could do all these bells and whistles. And from doing that, it's already starting to materialize into the business is doing the things that it should be. and the value is great. Like we've talked about how niche the recreational marine industry is.
Yes.
What I do is perfectly applicable in other industries. Commercial maritime would be an obvious one, but I don't have that. I have the reputation that I have in that industry, right?
Yeah.
How do we build that? And if I'm going to a commercial marine show, then what shows am I not going to that's in the recreational sector? If I'm on the same social platform talking about something that's only relevant to tankers and not to dinghy builders or super yachts, and people are going to start to sit back going, why am I listening to Ben Taylor? This is irrelevant.
Yeah.
And so it loses value. So that focus has been like, stay where I am and be, okay, it's a relatively small pond, but being a bigger, more efficient fish in that pond is exactly where I want to be. So it's focus, simplify what products really sell, what service really sells. Do that.
And it gives people a reason to watch you as opposed to watching somebody else, because they know that's what they're going to get.
Yeah. So you got yeah. I think what people sometimes miss is that even though you're a personal brand, you're a brand.
Yeah.
So operate like a brand. Have your guidelines. What is really good. So I try and avoid, like we talked about, industry parties. And like, right, okay, there's a wild scene. You're at a really nice bar, rooftop bar, somewhere nice, West Palm Beach recently. Exactly that situation. Do I want to be going around there going, look where we are, guys. It's a cool pool and look, free drinks. Look who I'm with, da-da-da. Well, not really, because people don't watch me for a hyped up, crazy lifestyle that takes you around the world. It's for it's for insightful information about the industry. Focus, simplify, keep to that, and then that's where I'm sticking. So that's my approach there.
And do you have certain values? I mean, I have a value, for example, for my podcast.
Yeah, go on.
That I only do it in person.
Yeah.
I don't do it online.
Yeah.
Right? Because I love my mics.
Oh, it's great audio.
I know, right? They're really fantastic.
I actually want to
mics.
hear my voice in this audio. I normally hate my voice. I've gotten pretty used to it. But yeah, with good mics. Oh.
Yeah. So I love my mics. But also because you can read a person and you can take a conversation in a certain way because of where they've started, or you can see they're enjoying that moment.
Yeah.
So you can go with it. And also because I really wanted to get to know that person. If I'm seeing them, if I'm doing it online, I'm not really getting to know that person. And I actually really want to know that person to interview them. So, and I think my listeners do too. They want to understand who that person really is. So that's a value for me. And I would hope that I can maintain that value because it does involve a fair amount of travel. So how about you? What are your values in what you do?
I'm thinking about things like integrity, authenticity. Something's come up recently that's like on my radar is like, I really don't want that to happen. And it's talking about sustainable products. And I've done videos before where it's a little bit of a gray area. And I've had private messages going, this is like greenwashing or pretty close to it. Like, be careful. And so I've started to think, okay, if I'm interviewing someone and they're talking about how wonderful and sustainable it is, how do I fact check that and make sure that the integrity of the journalism is there? Because if it wasn't, then I'm affiliated with that brand, with that interviewee, whether I like it or not. Usually it's very positive. It's a big, trusted, great company that does wonderful things for the industry. If that's not the case, either way, I'm affiliated with it. Mm. So making sure that those are correct and correctly communicated to the industry is something that's really top of mind at the moment, and keeping that integrity. Because I could do something really, really stupid and you get to that, what's the phrase? It takes a lifetime to build a reputation, 2 seconds to lose it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And when there's video evidence of it on social media,
you're done.
It's pretty daunting. No, thank you. So, yeah, I think integrity is really, really high up there.
So that was the first half of an epic 90-minute fireside chat with Ben Taylor. And the second half will be available inside the Boat Princess membership. He'll be sharing the latest tips on digital marketing strategies like those he has on YouTube, where you'll find him interviewing our very own The Boat Princess at Ben Taylor, What's Going On? Or connect with him on LinkedIn at Ben Taylor Digital Marine.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Boat Princess podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you'd like to know more about what I do and where I am, then you can follow me on Instagram at The Boat Princess. You can also sign up to my newsletter on my website, which is theboatprincess.com. Take care of yourselves, everyone, and hopefully we'll see you on the water soon.
The Boat Princess podcast is hosted by Nicky Vaux and produced by Pip Ray. You can follow us by subscribing to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon, iHeartRadio, or wherever you download your podcasts from. Sign up to the newsletter at theboatprincess.com to receive updates on the latest episodes and exclusive invitations, including our Top Deck membership.